2017, for example, the U.S. imported $505 billion worth of goods from China, while China imported $130 billion worth of goods from the U.S. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an increasingly bitter trade war, and neither side is backing down. The countries are the world's two biggest trading partners. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an increasingly bitter trade war, and neither side. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an increasingly bitter. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an increasingly bitter. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an increasingly bitter. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an. China and the U.S. are in the midst of an increasingly bitter trade war, and neither side is backing down. The countries are the world's two biggest trading partners, but U.S. President Donald Trump said that trade is massively lopsided. Take 2017, for example. The U.S. imported $505 billion worth of goods from China, while China imported $130 billion worth of goods from the U.S. That resulted in a $375 billion trade deficit for the U.S. On top of that, Trump accuses China of stealing U.S. technology. Beijing requires foreign companies to share their intellectual property in exchange for access to the Chinese market. Trump's weapon of choice for this trade showdown? Tariffs that make importing goods into the U.S. a lot more expensive for the Chinese. It started with things like solar panels and washing machines, and then steel and aluminum products. Now, aircraft parts, TVs, medical devices, and even luxury delicacies such as caviar have been added to the ever-growing list of Chinese goods that face a 25% import tax. But China isn't just sitting back and taking it, it has retaliated with its own tariffs. American producers wanting to export to China now have to pay 25% duties on a variety of things, ranging from soybeans and meats to off-road vehicles. Duties have also been increased on U.S. cherries, grapes, and apples. The U.S. has either imposed or threatened tariffs on $506 billion worth of Chinese goods, while China has implemented or threatened levies on $130 billion worth of American products. So how does this affect people? Well, the tariffs mean that producers have to pay more, and that translates to higher prices for consumers. But it's not just Chinese and American consumers who are being affected. The dispute between the world's two biggest economies is disrupting global supply chains, and stock markets around the world have seen dips as a result of Beijing and Washington's tit-for-tat tariffs. Many economists say this only shows that, in trade wars, there are no winners.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to our this week edition of Global Issues, which is a program designed to capture all the occurrences across the entire globe, from Africa, USA, Ghana, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, everywhere across the world. So we've met today again to discuss some prominent issues that occurred over the past week. I have my able guest here today with me in the name of Mr. Isaac Barnier, and we'll be having some dialogue today. He always stands in for the New Patriotic Party of the MPP in Ghana, and he's also the chairman for the MPP in Reading. So before I go back to him to have what he has to say, and also greet the listeners and the viewers, I will use this opportunity to welcome you all to our this week's edition of GOB, Global Issues. Today we have a lot of issues to discuss. Issues ranging from Ghana to the USA. You start off with the international issues, where the UK and the Russia are more or less engaged in a diplomatic role, where Mr. Skripal, an ex-Russian spy, was nearly killed through a nerve agent attack. This issue has taken another twist altogether, where the UK came out boldly over the last week to say that the people who did it were from the Russian military intelligence. So this sparked a huge debate over the past few weeks, but these guys, in the name of these these agents, which we call them, the UK has accused, these agents which the UK has accused, have come out confidently and boldly on a series of TV interviews to deny the allegation. So on this program, we'll be talking and discussing what is going on and who is telling the truth. Is it the Russians or the UK? Because the UK government has said that these people, for having the audacity to say that they came into the UK as tourists, is a big blow and an insult to the public intelligence. And it's also a big insult to all those victims who were involved. So on this program, we'll be discussing and finding out who really killed Mr. Skripal. No, who really attempted to kill Mr. Skripal. We'll be finding out and delving into it, and also find out who is winning this role. Is it Russia or UK? Because both of these are using their intelligence to ensure that they win the public sympathy. That's the main reason why the Russians went on their public TV to interview these guys, and they said they came into the UK as innocent tourists, but they are now being dubbed as assassins or attempted assassins, and also members of the Russian military intelligence. So we will be asking questions and find out. And from the timeline the UK government gave, and from all indications, these guys, these two suspects, in the name of Alexander Petrov and Ruslan Boshirov, were captured on CCTV in Salisbury. They were actually captured on CCTV in Salisbury. But they've said they went there as tourists, but not to engage in any attempted attack on the ex-Russian spy. So we'll be finding out if what they are saying is true or not. And in the course of the program, we play a short documentary over the issue for you to get the broader picture of it, for you to know how the whole things or the whole incidents have unfolded from its inception in March till date. So that's what we will be talking about. And also, the next bill we will be discussing will be the Chinese and the USA looming trade war. It started already, and already about 50 billion worth of goods have been affected through this trade war. And the Americans have targeted or have hinted that more of these goods that will be affected by the trade war are in the process. And Donald Trump has said that that could happen anytime soon. And China has also said that they will also retaliate in equal proportion and equal amount. So the question we'll be asking today is, who will win in this trade war between these two super economic giants? These two super economic giants, who will win this trade war? But the flip side of the situation is that the Americans, just last Wednesday, sent an invitation for the Chinese to come on the table for them to sit and then make sure or ensure that a headway is found in this incidences or what's going on. So we'll be asking questions that would this new negotiation be successful? Because mind you, this new negotiation is on the high level, involve the senior members in both countries, unlike the previous one where it was at the lower level. So that's what we'll be discussing. Who at all will win this trade war? And even if none of them wins or lose, what will be the implications on some of the less economic giant countries? So what will be the implications? Like Africa, we know the Chinese involvement in Africa in recent times. So as a result of this trade war, we'll be finding out what the overall or the net implication of this will be on Africa and other countries. That depends on the Chinese and the US in their dealings. Because we know the Chinese are already having the pinch of being really suffering from it, because their GDP growth since this year has been declining. So is it because of this trade war, or could it be other factors through excessive lending or what? So that is what we'll be discussing on the international stage. And then we'll then move on to Africa, where the information we are hearing is that tomorrow, Zimbabwe opposition leader in the name of Mr. Shamisa, Nelson Shamisa, through his spokesman, have come out to say that they would definitely do a mock inauguration of Mr. Shamisa, because they feel he is the rightful owner that should have been elected or inaugurated, because he was the one that was duly elected by the electorate. So tomorrow they are having their mock inauguration to institute him as the main player or the main elected, duly elected president of Zimbabwe. So we'll be asking questions and find out if this is a real move, or what will be the implication. Is it an attempted coup, or is it an anarchy, as the current government have come out to say? So we'll be finding out, and also delve down into the architect of democracy in Africa. Is it really for us? Because when you hear certain things, it becomes as if Africa was not born to be under democracy, because it beats imagination for someone to come out boldly like this. But as I have my able panelists here, he will help us in diagnosing this issue and finding a lasting solution to it. From this, we will then move straight to the Ghanaian political landscape, which most of our viewers listening to us on Wednesday. We will then find out or discuss a prominent issue that is going on in Ghana, where there is currently an impasse between the auditing general, in the name of AG. I nearly said Attorney General, but it's the auditing general, auditor in general, whose main role is to audit companies and ensure that probity and accountability and corruption-free economy is ensured. He has come out to write a letter to the president petitioning him to ensure that he brings the board chairman to book and make sure that the board chairman works within his scope as mandated by the Constitution. So we'll be finding out what at all is going on in the auditing service department of Ghana. If these two people can work together, how more can we fight corruption, as we have always been banging on to eradicate corruption? Is it someone sabotaging the other, or is it someone trying to use his power or his influence over the other? Or someone is just trying to seek attention or have a political interest in coming out vividly to expose the president's appointee. So we'll be asking questions on this and find out what is going on and who at all will then go into their respective responsibilities. Does one have control by each other? Because the AG or the Auditor General says that the board chairman is trying to control him, telling him what to do, exceeding his constitutional limit, and also infringing on some things he shouldn't have done. So we'll be discussing that. Then the last point or the last topic we'll be discussing will be a strange incident that happened this week in the Ashanti region, where the serial callers of the New Patriotic Party have come out boldly to say that they are on strike, and they were not just on strike, they also ensured that the phone calls they used to make calls to call in TVs and radio stations are banned. So we'll be asking questions why this is going on. But the Ashanti Regional Minister have said that these guys are just lazy. They don't want to do meaningful work. They just want easy money, easy work. So he's not going to succumb to their demand. So we'll be asking questions why this has happened and how can we avoid certain things happening. So we will be asking questions and also ensure that certain things doesn't happen in our political dispensation as of this new millennium. So stick and stay with us. Stick and stay with us. That's what we'll be discussing. So if you dare join us, like the program, share it, invite your friends, and also follow us on gobtv.tv. We are streaming live on TuneIn. If you type GOB Radio, you find us. Yeah, that's GOB Radio on TuneIn. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. You can say GOB TV and Radio from both platforms. You find us. And we have our own platform, which is www.gobtv.tv. You can follow us there. We are also live there, and we stream a lot of our programs there 24/7. So if you are not live on Facebook, not live on TuneIn, you can go to gobtv.tv to experience our content-rich programs. So stick and stay with us, and as we make ready to start the program,
Million, who you can, and I see you baby, and now what immigration issues are. TM, what immigration and NASA settlement issues. Oh, you can, our dear, any divorce. A day and won't be a son lawyer betting me at the watch. Now, what amount our court, social force for lawyer brown. When and I would make up. I'm sure GOB Radio, any TV, Saturday and European 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Michelle Lawyer Francis out through BWL Solicitor.
Yeah, welcome back, listeners and viewers. So in my intro, I went over what we'll be discussing, and as you know, it seems an action-packed day. So I will use this opportunity to visit or to go straight to my able panelists. In fact, our loyal panelist who comes in to represent the New Patriotic Party in Reading and its surroundings. And as he always says, he comes here as their spokesperson. So I will go over straight to him and welcome him. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Barnier.
Thank you very much, my brother.
How is everything going on with you?
By God's grace, I'm doing well.
I could see that, because the way you are relaxed, chilled, everything, I could see, yeah, everything is intact. But I'm sure the happenings in Ghana at the minute is the only thing that bothers you as a chairman, that bothers you now and again. When you hear of serial callers being on demonstration, trying to disgrace the government and stuff, I think, yeah, those are the things that now and again, as a normal chairman, you get worried about, or you don't get worried.
Well, this is something that is interesting. It's a challenge, let me put it that way. Because if a group of people are working to support a political party or government by communicating like I'm doing, and they have complaint to make, then one will expect me to be on their side. But unfortunately, I cannot be on their side. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we come back to that anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think that was just a way of introduction. But before we go on, if there is anything that I should have said, but I didn't, maybe when it comes to the topics, you can maybe voice it out before we go into the main substantive ones. If you're okay with what is on the table, then we can start straight away.
I am okay with what is on the table, except that one definite silence is something worth mentioning.
Okay, let's
You know, over the weeks or months, we've been talking about the double tracking system.
Yeah.
And people were complaining that, oh, you've not made adequate preparation, the children are going to school.
Yeah.
And you know the children, the first batch started this Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah.
And today is Friday.
Yeah.
And if everything is calm, what does that tell you?
Oh, it means, yeah, when we start here last Wednesday to discuss it, at least we've made enough effort.
I mean, what does that mean?
You said definitely silent. That's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, so if everything is calm and the children are at school studying, then it shows that it is not as bad as people were claiming that we did not make preparation and everything is in a fiasco, blah, blah, blah. You know, today is Friday, and every child who is supposed to be in school is in school now. They've got places and they are studying.
That's true.
You know, and those who are supposed to wait and start in 41 days' time will also go smoothly like the first batch are doing.
Okay.
You know, so for me, I know that good news is not news for the media, but this is something that is worth commending the government, you know, that we were in a very difficult and, you know, critical situation, looking at the numbers of children who are supposed to go to school. And for me, ideally, we shouldn't even be discussing whether there should be arrangement for them to go to school or not, because it is one of the fundamental rights that every child must have access to education. But cleverly, we've defined our basic education to mean that children leave school at the age of 13. When should they go? International labor law does not even allow them to work. So if you are at an age that you cannot go to work and you cannot also go to school, what do? Go and sleep or what? You know. So I'm so proud that I'm part of a government that has seen this problem and wants to really address it. Yes, we may have challenges, but as they come, we will address them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Barnier. Thank you very much. I know you are very compassionate and passionate about this double track system. So yeah, I could see that from 2 weeks coming.
I'm passionate about education, not the double tracking system. When the free education came about, I was so much in support of it. You know.
That's true.
Yeah, I was just so lucky that I did not drop out. I was just so lucky. But education shouldn't be like matter. It should be right for every child to have education.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I think we'll come back to the Ghana front issues, where we will be discussing more of such issues. But for now, we are starting from the international level, where we will start from nowhere than the UK here. There is a row going on for quite some time now, about 4 or 5 months now, between the Russians and the UK. And it's taking another twist altogether, where the UK came out vividly last week also to say that those guys who came to do the actual atrocity are part of the Russian intelligence, military intelligence. But those guys just this week went on our TV, which is Russian state TV, to grant an interview, and they denied it. They said they came here purposely as tourists, and it was upon recommendation of a friend that they went to Salisbury, where the incidents occurred, and they went there to see a cathedral and by chance they didn't even know it was at the Scraper, Mr. Scraper's road they passed. Everything was just coincidence. So the UK coming out has put their life at risk because they are now scared that people will kill them, attack them. They can't travel to any European country because they are under European arrest warrant and stuff. So who do you believe in this matter? Is the Russian trying to be clever, or the UK are trying to just find blame on them and get away with it?
Do I have to believe one?
Yeah, in this case you have to, because
no,
definitely someone did it.
I'm afraid I don't believe, or I don't want to stake my neck out now.
Is it?
Because if Theresa May is speaking, I respect her, and because she's in a position of trust and very sensitive position, she has access to some information that I would not have. So when she is talking, it would be naive on my part to discount what Theresa May is saying. Because I don't know which part of what she's saying is based on facts and what is based on her opinion. Okay. But she's talking, and even if she's forming opinion, I will expect that her opinions are based on some facts that she's having to draw such conclusions and form opinion.
That's true.
However, there is fundamental, law that all suspects are deemed to be innocent until proven guilty. Okay. So it may be true that this man was actually poisoned by the Russians. That is one aspect, because the Russians are in the first instance denying it. Okay. And even if it was Russian as a country who tried to poison this man or kill him, can it also be that these two people who have been identified or suspected to be the culprits are actually innocent, but it was sheer coincidence that they happened to be where this man was, and they are being accused because they are Russians and happen to be there. Sometimes there can be coincidence, but sometimes, the coincidences are so, difficult to really say that is it not planned something, But as at now, where I sit and just reading one accusing the other and the other defending themselves, it will be very, very difficult for me to say I believe this person or that person.
Okay.
At the moment, I will want to just follow and read what is going on and things like that.
Okay.
But questions that we need to ask ourselves are that it is true that these two men were at where this man was, Mr. Scraper was. But is it true that that cathedral or that place is a place that tourists go? For somebody to recommend that place to you to go there?
That's true.
And if it is true that tourists go there, then you cannot discount what they are saying.
Okay. So before, let me just play for the viewers to also have a look and see what the interview looked like, and maybe they can also form their own opinion. And after we continue from there. So let's just have a look and listen to what they have to say.
Those who were shown to you in the pictures, Ruslan Bashirov and Alexander Petrov.
Are those your real names?
Yes, they are our real names. We'd like if one day the real perpetrators are found and we're given an apology.
Когда-нибудь отравители найдут, то хотя бы перед нами бы извинились.
By who? The perpetrators?
Даже за то,
By
что
UK
мы
authorities.
What were you doing there?
Our friends had been suggesting for a long time that we visit this wonderful town.
There's the famous
Там есть
Salisbury
знаменитая-
Cathedral, famous not
знаменитый
only in
собор.
Europe, but in the whole world. It's famous for its 123-meter spire. It is famous for its clock, the one of the first ever created in the world that's still working.
Yes, as you heard,
On the CCTV?
those are the men that were being interviewed by our TV. So from what they say, they are claiming to be innocent with no idea of what the UK authorities are talking about. Because they went to UK purposely as tourists. And as Mr. Barnier was saying, if the church they claim they went there is a place where tourists can go there, he has no other means of verifying if they went there as tourists or to carry out such an assassination attempt. So I'll go over again to Mr. Barnier for him to finish his point before we move on. And I'll be asking one or two questions to make sure we have the ins and outs of the situation. So if you can, maybe the viewers have not had the opportunity to see the interview, what they said, their demeanor, everything.
I don't judge people by their demeanor. You said they are claiming to be innocent. No, they are not claiming to be innocent. They are actually innocent until they are proven guilty.
But how can they be proven guilty if they are not taken to court? Because their government is shielding them from being extradited. So how can they be proven guilty if the government or their president or their government is trying to shield them from even coming to court to defend themselves?
This is not me saying. This is fundamental law everywhere. That every person or every suspect is innocent and deemed to be innocent until they are proven guilty. So if you've not proved them guilty, or if you've not even been able to take them to court, that does not give you any right or mean the right to assume that they will be guilty when they go to court. Or because somebody has not allowed them to be taken to court, we claim that or we deem them to be guilty. Okay, because that's what the whole issue. The Russians are saying that they did not even perpetrate this act. It's not them. So they don't see why they would even be encouraging any lawsuit or whatever. This is complex and this is international issue. And that's why I don't want to take sides. But what I'm saying is this is fundamental law. It's not just me saying. Anyone that is accused of any crime or offense, you will still be deemed as a suspect until you've been proven guilty. That is only when we can say that you are the guilty person or you committed that thing. Until then, we can call you a suspect. So I wouldn't want that they are claiming to be innocent. They are actually innocent until they are proven guilty.
So you think it's just coincidence, a sheer coincidence, that the hotel room they went, a trace of the Novikov, which is the nerve agent, was found, and also on CCTV, them coming to Salisbury, going back to do a reconnaissance check, going back, and actually being found around the man's street where he lives. You think it's just a sheer coincidence, or they are hiding behind what the law says just to get away with it?
It's not what I think. They are saying that they went to this tourist site. Is there a tourist site there? Did they go there? Maybe they can also prove that they were there at the site, you know. So for me, it's not enough, you know. When it comes to criminal law, the burden of proof, okay, it is actually on the person or the prosecutor. So if you accuse me for stealing something, you have to prove that I've stolen that, and I don't have to even defend myself. So these two people don't have to come out with video showing them at this place that they claim to go there as tourists. They don't have to prove that they went there. You know.
Is it not to win public sympathy, especially from the Russian side of the...
For me, this will not win me or let them lose anything because I don't put any my premium on it. Yes, somebody tried to kill somebody, but as to who did it, I don't know. You know, I don't know. And sometimes people have been sent to do certain things that they don't know. Me as a mere innocent, if I'm not scientist and I don't have good scientific background, somebody can just give me a bag or mobile phone to give to somebody, and that phone or bag may contain some chemical, but I may not know that what I'm having is something that contains toxic or deadly weapon or something. People may accuse me as a murderer, but for all you know, I'm just a career who don't even know what is in what I'm holding, you know. So sometimes I'm not quick to make judgment that he did it or he did not do it, you know. These people probably were actually sent there but didn't know what they were carrying, and somebody told them, oh, come here, come as a tourist person, because this thing, what you need to do is maybe just go and pass there with whatever or drop something that you may think that is just a mere handshake or whatever. You know.
But what actually happened was that they used an Inarichi perfume, you know, put the thing in it, the nerve agent, and then they went and put that on the person's door.
That is what you've been told. That is what you've been told. That is what those who are investigating believe was really the case.
Okay.
What is the proof to that?
The CCTV can prove it.
Prove what?
That they were in the vicinity.
No, what you are saying that they use spray to do this and do that, are they them? Or somebody is saying that that thing was mixed with a spray? You know, there are pieces of evidence, and if you are good in puzzle, the fact that you've seen a gun somewhere and you've seen me passing there doesn't mean that I dropped the gun there. Maybe the gun was there before I passed, but I did not see it.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So I think we'll be keeping a very keen eye on this issue because it's getting interesting day in, day out. It's more getting diplomatically uneasy for each of the countries involved. So we'll be finding out if, as the Russian government said, they are civilians, and the UK government is saying they are military intelligent men. We'll be finding out in the coming days. So
for me, those things don't even mean anything. Even if they are proven to be civilians, it doesn't mean that the Russians cannot send civilians to do this. And even if they are proved to be military men, it doesn't mean that they did it.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Barnier. And we then move on to our next topic, which is the looming trade war between the Chinese and the USA. There's a looming trade war between the Chinese government and the USA. The Americans have come out to say that very soon, they are going to increase the tariff, which is currently affecting about 50 billion of the Chinese goods, to about 200 billion US dollars. And the Chinese have promised they have also promised to retaliate in equal measure. So let me go to Mr. Barney and ask him what this is about. Who do you think will win in this trade war? The US government have called the Chinese to come, let's sit on the table, negotiate. So who do you think had the upper hand in this scenario?
Well, you described it as looming trade war. It is not a looming trade war. It's actually ongoing trade war. It has already started.
But it's going to be escalated. So what you make it?
That for me, I totally agree with you. And why do you think the Americans are inviting them for sit-down discussion?
Oh, because they want to, because that's what they did to the EU, you know. Because I know the plan Donald Trump is using. He do it, he call you, then once he calls you, you wouldn't have much, you know that you'll be under pressure. So you'll be coming from a weak point during the negotiation. And then they can also impose whatever they want to impose.
Is there any scientific proof in what you are saying?
Because I've been following Donald Trump for a while, and for more that's his strategy.
How long has Donald Trump been
even if it's a day, I've been tracking his strategy. He's been trying to do that with the Korean president, you know.
What did he get from the Korean president?
Because he tried it, you know. He's done it with Putin, you
well,
see. So it's a strategy.
If anything at all, you are saying that he has only one strategy, which is not even efficient. It may work for fishing, you know.
But the Chinese one is working, you know. I think they are.
How is it working?
Their economy is going and slowing down. The Chinese this year has been slowing down compared to the Americans. So at least it's working for them.
No. That is not how we do economics. Listen, okay, let me ask you, why do you think that the Chinese economy is going down?
It could be that this trade war,
I mean, what indicator do you have to come to that conclusion that the Chinese economy is going down?
Normally we use the GDP anyway, the GDP growth. So we all know that this year the Chinese have been declining in their GDP growth.
And do you know GDP?
Oh, I know GDP.
What is GDP?
GDP is your gross domestic product.
And what is that?
Whatever you do. So it could be that if you do, the Chinese mostly export their stuff to America. So if they do it and there's no bought or at a higher price, it will be affected.
No. GDP. GDP means gross domestic product. What it simply means is the cost of production within your country. Okay. So the goods and services that they produce in China in that year in question fell down. Okay. But we are now.
Let me come here to support your argument, because from what I said, if you produce it and when you export it, it's not being sold. With time, you won't be producing it, so it will have a knock-on effect.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
So you shouldn't discredit what I said.
No. Let me give you my perspective for you to see.
Okay.
Now the world is changing,
yes,
and countries are adopting different strategies. You know, Chinese, even Ghana has entered into agreement for Chinese company to come to Ghana to set up assembly plant in Ghana. Okay. So the car that this Chinese company is producing in China, if they set up the assembly plant in Ghana and they start producing in Ghana, it will reduce their gross domestic product, because they will not be producing in China, but they will be producing in Ghana. So that's the production of that company will not be part of their GDP. But when they produce in Ghana and they make profit, the profit will still go to China. Okay. Right. So if you look at a country's GDP alone, without looking at what is causing it, it can be that actually it is as a result of the trade war, like you are saying. But it can also be that it's strategic investment that they are now actually producing abroad for cheap labor and things like that. So the GDP is reducing. But you need to look at the net national product or gross national product. That is where you take the goods produced within the country and those also produced by Chinese abroad. If you put the GDP and the production of their foreigners outside, if you put the two together and it is falling, that is where you can actually make emphatic conclusion that China as a country are now producing less, or they are retrogressing. But their GDP can go down, but their net national product may go up. Okay. And I see that in some African countries, the Chinese have set up companies there and they are producing from there, you know, instead of producing from China. And that is what they are doing. You know, Chinese are now everywhere in Africa now, you know. So the companies that have relocated to Africa, if they leave China, their impact will be felt because it will affect their GDP. But when they repatriate their profit back, you see that their net national products may go up. But coming back to your question, Quivono, Frenchman will say, who loses? The answer is both. Both.
They all stand to lose.
They all stand to lose. And maybe who benefits?
But one's own will be more severe than the other, don't you think?
I'm talking about who loses, or who loses
more.
But
you can lose, but maybe you might be better off than someone, you know. Maybe you'll be the most last. So I mean, there's a scale of it.
I think I've said this here, and I will say it again. Whenever a producer or a consumer start thinking that they are doing that a favor, they are getting it wrong.
Oh, okay.
When the Chinese produce their products, they don't give it free to the American citizens. Okay. Or if the American citizens are buying Chinese products, they are not giving their money to the Chinese companies. They are buying a service or product. So who is doing who a favor? Okay. If I invite a plumber to my house to come and fix my pipe for me,
yes,
and he does the pipe and I pay the plumber, who has done the favor?
Each other.
That is the point. Because if I don't give you work to do, you don't get paid.
That's true.
And if you come and fix my tap for me, you also don't say that, oh, I'll fix your tap for you, as if you did it for free.
But you know, I can get it from another person who is providing the same sort of service. Maybe you might need the money, but maybe I have options. I can go to.
So who are you now? Who are you now?
Maybe I'm the service user. No, I'm the service user. I'm the customer.
You are the customer.
Yes.
So I'm the plumber.
You are the plumber. There are so many plumbers.
And you believe that there are so many plumbers that you can choose from, but there's only one customer, all the plumbers are serving? You don't believe that there are so many customers that I can also...
Now, you know, in this capitalistic world, the customers are always in demand.
That is where I keep going to that if the customer feels that he's doing the plumber a favor, he's getting it wrong. Because the plumber said that I'll come to you at 12. He's coming to you at 12 because he's already serving 2 customers before coming to you. And he told you that if you can't make it 12, I'll come to you the next day. Because after 12, he's busy serving other customers. So if you are thinking that you are the only customer, you got it wrong. Okay? So both of us have where to go for. You don't have to choose me. And I don't have to say, how often do I serve your pipe for you if I'm a plumber? If I fix your pipe for you for today and you give me £100, when would I come and fix your pipe again? And do you think between 5 years or 2 years interval that I come to you, I don't get any job? That should tell you that there are so many customers out there, and there are also so many plumbers out there. So if the 2 of us are doing business, we should just continue doing business and negotiate and become clients to each other, rather than one thinking that I'm doing a favor.
But the Americans, especially Donald Trump, has come out to say that the Chinese are stealing their intellectual property right through unfair trade deals. And there are so many American companies relocating to China, producing from China, then moving back to America. You see, so they feel they are being hurt.
Who is going to China?
Oh, let me say, some American companies, they are at the minute suffering from this take anyway, some of them, those American companies. But most Chinese companies, they produce at a cheaper rate than they send it to America. And it affects the indigenous American companies. And the president is saying that it's not fair. And that's what's causing unemployment, low wages and stuff. So he's trying to reverse it. And don't you think it's fair? At least he's initiated to see how it takes him.
I think we've done similar discussion here. When Chinese are producing goods in China at a lower cost and sending it to US, and the US citizens prefer to buy the Chinese goods because the prices are cheaper than indigenous products. If you stop the Chinese from bringing their cheaper goods, what do you think will happen? You've only talked about one side. The local producers will be happy because their goods will now be bought at a higher cost.
And they can produce more too.
That's
and they will employ more people.
Okay. But what about the customers who are now buying goods at a higher cost? If I'm a customer and I used to buy a commodity at $10, and now you stop it from coming from China, so I'm now having to buy it at $15 or $20 because it is produced locally. Would I be happy or not?
No, the customers will not be happy. And
That's right.
but
so,
the economy.
So as a president, you will satisfy a group of your citizens, maybe the local producers, who may not be necessarily Americans, because we are talking about local production, and the producers in America may not be necessarily American companies. It may be companies set up in America. And even if they are American companies, they will be happy the government is doing the right thing, and we are making profit now, and we can expand and hire more people. But the consumers will also be crying to say that cost of goods are now high, and inflation will be high, because they believe that things that we used to buy at $10 is now $15 or $12 or $20. Okay, so that is where every president, you need to get the mess right.
But let me come in here before you continue. You know, you did economics, and I'm sure you are aware of this. You know, in every economy, it's the households that matters. The households. So these same households are the customers, they are the employees, they're everything.
That's right.
So if the customers, if the employees, if I'm able to produce more, it's the same household who the money, the net benefit is going into their pocket. So it doesn't matter if it's the customer.
It matters.
No, it's the household in economics.
Because it is the same household who are buying the cheaper goods. No.
And they will be the one employed and they'll be getting the wages.
That is where I'm saying that you have to get the mess right. Because if you believe that the household, that we put them together to call them household, if you say that they are 50-50, because if you take any household, the consumers may be 80% and the producers may be 20%. So if you put a policy in place and the policy is favoring 20% and 80% are not happy, okay, that is something that you have to live by the consequence. As to whether people will understand why you are doing that and maintain you in power or vote for you. And whether people have patience to wait, because sometimes it is even like chicken and egg situation. Okay, sometimes it's like chicken and egg situation. If I'm not working, I'm unemployed, and you are producing goods for me to buy at a higher cost so that you can make profit and employ me. Ask yourself, if I'm unemployed now, can I buy anything at a higher cost? The answer is no. Okay, so one would say that, let me buy it at a cheaper cost now that I don't even have money because I'm not working. But the other side of it is, if I keep buying it at a cheaper cost, then it means I'm buying from an how do you call it, non-indigenous company. So there will not be a time that employment will be there for me, because what we are doing is we are buying goods from foreign companies, and we are not promoting the indigenous companies. Okay. But the difficulty is, how do you break that cycle? Because the same consumer, if I'm not working and the price is high, I cannot buy. You know, so it's always difficult, and that is why I'm saying that if the Americans and the Chinese are entering into this trade war, both of them stand to lose, and the beneficiaries are likely to be those outsiders trade, because Chinese will start looking for alternative markets. And as you know, this trade war is not like one-sided. The Chinese are also saying that we will also levy your goods also. So the goods that you are also bringing to my country, we also tax it to discourage people from using. So America also have to find another market to also send their goods to. Okay, and in that case, UK stand to benefit.
Who?
UK.
UK, okay.
Yeah, we stand to benefit.
Okay.
Africa stand to benefit.
Okay.
Or any other country outside this trade war will stand to benefit.
So in your opinion, none of these countries, both America or US, stand to benefit in this trade war. Is that what you're trying to say?
That is what I'm saying, that if people are not doing it with good intelligence, if you do economics and you do it properly, you know that there are some commodities that you have, what is that term? Comparative advantage. But even comparative advantage is like when you are doing, you give me this and I give you that. You know, there are some goods that even if you produce locally, it doesn't make economic sense, because you don't have the technology, you don't have the resources, because you may have to import the resources. So if you are even saying that you don't want to import the commodity, sometimes that is what happens. In our quest to produce some commodities, you import resources.
Resources, yeah.
You know, or raw material, then you produce. And if you are not careful, the cost that you incur to import the raw materials to produce that commodity may end up being more expensive if you have even bought the finished commodity. For example, if Ghana decides that we don't want anyone to bring television to Ghana, we want to produce our own television. We don't have the raw materials to produce television. Then we go in and import the raw materials to produce the television. If you don't do your calculation well, the money that you will spend to import the raw material to produce the television, that money may even be more than the money that you were spending to import television. You know, so this is what you need to really calculate and think about it. That do we have the technical men, even if we have the raw materials and things like that, you know. Or sometimes you can also say that strategically, maybe short term, we may be running at loss, but over 20 years, if we get the skills and everything, we will be in a better situation, and we will, you know. So it must be backed by, how do you call it, economic, proper thinking and analysis. Not what I read that Trump threatening that I can even do it now. It's like I'm threatening. It's not what he's doing. It's not.
But I think maybe how would you know that because he has a team of advisors, economic advisors, maybe they've done the analysis.
If you have team of economic advisors and they are advising you, they will tell you when to do it. Not if I say come and you don't come, I will do it now.
He said as soon as possible.
Anytime soon. So if you say that if you don't come for it to sit down and do it anytime soon, then it's like when you do it depends on whether I come or not. But when you do it, should be based by facts, scientific research that you've done, that this one we should do it this day, whether I come or I don't come. You know when to do it and you will stick to that. Not if I come, you negotiate and you don't do it. If I don't come, you will do it.
Okay.
Or even impose more tariffs on you, you know, because those commodities that you are imposing tariffs on should be commodities that you know that if you stop it from coming, you will get local producers to take over, you know.
So let's assume you are the president of China and you've been faced or invited to come and sit and let's negotiate on this huge task. What would you have done if you are the president of China? And
in the first instance, I'm not president of China.
Well, let's say, okay,
so I declined that invitation. But what I would do is I would go, because going to negotiate it doesn't take anything away from you. If I come and we negotiate and the deal that I get is not acceptable, I don't accept. If it is acceptable, I accept. You know. So for me, going for negotiation per se is not anything bad. It's good.
So if you go, what are you going to do? Are you going to go with your own mindset?
That is that. Why do you go with your? Why do you just go? No. Before you go, you also negotiate with your own people. You have a discussion with them, and you go that anything less than this we are not taking. Anything less than that we are not taking. Or you go and tell them that okay, these goods I'm exporting to your country, so it's coming to you as import. You have every right to put the tariffs. But don't forget, what you do, I can also do same. So I'm here to let you know that you have right to impose whatever level of tariff that you want to impose on the goods that are coming from China. But we are waiting to see what you do to inform what you also do. Okay. But what I'm saying is that don't forget.
You think the Americans already don't know this, that the Chinese have this opportunity?
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying that. That's why I said that the two countries stand to lose, because the goods that the Chinese are exporting to America, they sell it and get foreign exchange out of it, and the Americans who buy these goods derive satisfaction from using it. So if you stop Chinese from bringing that good, yet they don't get the foreign exchange, but your citizens will also not get the satisfaction that they get from consuming those services and goods. And if Chinese also do same to American products, they also know, because when Americans bring goods there, they also take foreign exchange from it. Okay, so they also not get that, but you also deprive your citizens from using those goods and services.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like I'm punishing them. Just like you decide that, oh, you will not eat, like the last time you had difficulty with with your wife, and you say that, oh, she spent time cooking and I will not eat.
Which last time was that? Listeners are listening.
No, not you. I'm just making normal
analogy.
Analogy that
okay.
if someone spends time to cook for you and you decide not to eat because you want to punish the person and not eat the food, wasted your time. Who are you starving?
Okay.
It's yourself that you are starving.
You are starving, that's true.
And if you decide that you go and eat outside, you are not going to eat outside for free. This food was there for you to eat for free, and you decided not to eat it for free, and you go out and buy. Who are you punishing? You've just thrown your money away.
But maybe it will bring something better out next time. Maybe he's sending a message across.
That's right. Both of you, sometimes sending the message across, it may send wrong message, because next day you come down to that we eat, because everything is over and you not cook. And we'll tell you that go there again where you went yesterday.
And do you think it will really happen? If the lady really loves you?
Well, maybe I'm using wrong example. You are talking about love matters here.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You are talking about two countries who are trading. If China gets another country to export to, they don't have to bother. You know, so it will be gone forever. Or if American also get another country to export or import from, you know.
And don't you think there will be a knock-on effect on each of these countries you are saying?
No, they would rather stand to benefit.
There won't be any
the knock-on effects are more like disadvantages if they meet and they come to agreement and they decide not to look elsewhere. But if they meet and they'll come out more angrier and slapping these tariffs, then some of the goods will come to Ghana. Because the Chinese will ask themselves, why should I export to US and pay 80% tax if I send it to Ghana and the tax is 70%? You know, so they'll come. So some of us will benefit. But if they negotiate and they agree and they shake hands and everything is okay, then those potential winners, it's just like you're unemployed and somebody is being sacked. You stand to benefit because they will recruit new employee and it's likely to be you. But if they don't get sacked and they are reprimanded, then it's like, oh, they are not recruiting because there's no vacancy.
So let's get around this. Maybe let's take the worst case scenarios on this issue. Let's assume China and America are having this trade war, but America and the EU have, let's assume, tariff-free trade. So can't China separate this trade war between America by sending it to the EU, assuming they have a free tariff, sending it there, then the EU too also shift it across America. So don't you think that would have surpassed the intention the Americans wanted to have achieved? Let's assume, it's just an assumption.
No, these are all assumptions, but that's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying that economic decisions should be economic decisions. If we are making political decisions and hide behind economic reasons, it will not work. So if you are imposing tariffs on Chinese products with the view that it will give local companies opportunity to grow, and you enter into free trade market with European country, and they are exporting the same commodity without any tariff, then the tariff that you put on Chinese products was not for economic reason, it's more of political reason. Okay. But if your idea that, for example, if Chinese are sending toys to US market, and you say that you want the US companies who produce toys to grow, so you're imposing tariffs, then I will not expect U.S. to also enter into any trade agreement with Europe or any other country for them to send toys to U.S. tax-free, because that will not make the European and the American companies grow, because it's like you stop China from bringing it, and Europeans are also bringing it.
But it's possible, isn't it? It's possible such a scenario can happen in real life, or in this particular instance. Unless
the European goods that are coming are not as cheap as what the Chinese products were coming. And don't forget, trade tariff does not mean you cannot bring the goods.
Yeah, you can. They pay the premium.
You pay tax. Okay. So all what is aiming to do is to make it expensive. Okay. And there's a commodity that even when it is expensive, people are happy to buy because they believe that they are in a class and they want to buy it, and you know. So you have to really look at the commodity and look at the demand and supply curve, and you need to look at the background of the people who buy that commodity and decide whether those people are people who 20% increase in price will change their lifestyle or not. Okay. Or even if you do economics, it tells you the part of their income that is spent on that commodity. Okay. What is the cheapest thing that you buy? Like salt.
Compliments and stuff.
Like salt that you use to buy for food. You know, if your salt is coming from Ghana, and you say, "Oh, I want to discourage people from buying salt," and you double the price of salt, you know, people who buy salt, because how much is it? Is it £1?
Let's assume it's £1.
£1. In this, you know, and anyone going to market, even if the price of salt doubles and it's £2, people will not stop buying salt because the price has doubled. Because the fraction of their money that they are spending on salt is negligible. So even if you double the price, they don't see it. They will still buy it. Some even don't notice that the price has changed. You see?
So price elasticity, isn't it?
Yeah. So the demand for that commodity is inelastic. Whether it is fat price or white price, people just buy it. Or some people cannot say that, oh, because the price is now cheap, I want to put more salt in my food. You cannot put more salt in your food because it's now cheap. There's a quantity that you put, whether it is expensive or not. You put same quantity, you know.
That's true. That's true. Thank you, Mr. Barnier, for the in-depth economic analysis. Listeners, if you join us, it's gobtv.tv. If you have just joined us, it's gobtv.tv. We are streaming live from the UK, and you can catch us also on our own website, which is www.gobtv.tv. We are live on TuneIn, live on YouTube, and live on Facebook. So like the program, share it, and invite your friends. This program comes on every Friday from 5:30 to 7:30. So always make a day with us to enjoy such an in-depth economic analysis. Our next topic that I would like us to touch on is this occurrence in Zimbabwe. Information we are hearing is that the opposition leader, in the name of Mr. Nelson Chamisa, came out yesterday to say that tomorrow they are going to have a mock inauguration. So I'm trying to put all these puzzles together. Is he really serious, or is he just trying to create an awareness of the fact that he was cheated in their presidential elections? Or what avenues have he got? Couldn't he have gone to the court for a redress rather than trying to, I would call it an anarchy, as one of their ministers have said, create a panic and anarchy, or more or less semi-coup d'etat, by trying to impose yourself as the legitimately elected president. So what's your take on that? Do you think it's good for our democracy in Africa with such occurrences?
Well, before I make specific comments on what is happening at Zimbabwe, I think I would like to comment on your intro that you were seeking to ask whether democracy is for us.
Yeah, because such issues, it makes me wonder, how could you just say because of democracy, that's why he's doing this? If it's not democracy, can you just come out and say that I've been cheated, so I'm going to be sworn in by myself? Don't you think that could lead to another friend?
What is democracy? What is democracy?
You say your bit, I say my bit, and that's exactly what I think he's trying to.
And why do you say that this is not for Africa?
Because of the attitude of the man, the way he's doing it.
He's saying his bit, like you define simply.
No, we can't just, we can create instability in the country. You know? You know it can create instability. You can't have two captains riding the same ship. There's already a sworn-in president, and you are saying you are going to be inaugurated as president. It doesn't make sense to me.
What I'll agree with you is the fact that it doesn't make sense and two captains and those things. But this is what we just finished discussing. China and US, this trade war. How different is it from this one?
Trade war, this is what? Two different countries, sovereign countries, of course, and it's for economic reasons. But it's what? Internal, you know?
Also, you don't see any internal stuff going on in America or in the UK or anywhere?
Oh, that goes there, but this particular one, you see, I wouldn't hear anywhere that an American president or maybe an European president or opposition leader will come out clearly to say that he's going to what? Be inaugurated because he was cheated. The best route they would have done is what the President Akufo-Addo did: go to court. But he is not going to court.
So why are you not saying that you will not see this in Ghana?
Sorry?
What you are just saying in Zimbabwe, why are you not saying that it will not happen in Ghana, but you are saying that it will not happen in the US?
I was just making examples. I did the US, I did the UK, and I brought in Ghana too.
No.
I guess that's why I brought in Akufo-Addo.
No, that's why I'm drawing your attention to that. You said that you think democracy is for Africa, so you put Ghana and everybody together.
But Ghana, we are in the infancy stage anyway. Just, is it 20 years?
That is.
So we are still learning, so we can't compare
20
ourselves.
years of what?
Proper democracy, proper.
And how do you define proper democracy?
Proper democracy is where you start and there have not been any coup d'etat. That's what I call proper democracy.
So you use coup d'etat to be the yardstick for proper democracy. There are some countries that have never been coup d'etats, but they don't even practice democracy.
No, what I mean is, you bring in the democratic rule and someone from nowhere come to topple the president.
What I want to draw your attention to is that, you know, if you come to UK, you know, when democracy started, when people started voting or using elections to kind of elect leaders.
Yeah, a long time ago. I think it started here. Yeah, very long ago.
And you know that those who were voting were people who only had land. If you don't have land, you cannot vote. Do you know that?
It started somewhere anyway, so they started it, and we are learning from them.
Listen, that time that people who had land in the UK were those who were deciding who goes to parliament. The same thing was happening to Ghana. People were called kingmakers from the royal families who were electing chiefs and kings. Okay, so it wasn't everybody doing it. So what I'm trying to say is that what we describe as democracy, it depends on who is defining it. Do you know that even when they expanded the electoral college to allow people to vote, it only started with men? Do you know?
Oh yeah, we know women didn't have votes, and even blacks, as we might be, initially didn't have votes. So with time,
and how long is that? This is not long ago.
Yeah.
This is not, and we are talking about UK. We are talking about US. That people say that they practiced democracy for about 300 years. Women started voting in how do you call it? In UK in the 20th century.
That's true.
You know, so some people are still alive today that when they were even over 18, they were not allowed to vote. You know, initially it was even 20, that they've reduced it to 18. Have you asked yourself why people who are 16 are not allowed to vote and things like that? Democracy is growing. Some are ahead of others, and people practice democracy in different ways. You go to schools and the children, the 6-year-olds, the 9-year-olds are allowed to choose their leaders. They vote. Are they not practicing democracy? But when it comes to the national level, we don't allow them to be partake of that. You know, but that is different thing altogether. I'm happy to criticize any person who is doing something stupid or wrong. But I'm not comfortable when we jump into conclusion and say that, oh, Africa, oh, this, oh, that. We've just talked about this kind of back and forth between UK and Russia about who tried to poison who and this like that. If this discussion is going between Ghana and Nigeria, people will say that, oh, Africa, and this is why they waste their time on. But we don't spend energy on these things.
So let's go back to what this man is doing.
What this man
is he doing the right thing, or
I'm not sure he's doing the right thing. I'm a politician, and what I believe in is to win election, you need to do so much work before the election day, and you have to do so much during the election day, and you have to do so much after the ballot is cast. You know. And sometimes people take it for granted and believe that election is just about, oh, the day that you are going to the polls and things like that, only to realize that the structures in place don't support what you are even advocating for, so you cannot win. And people try to use so many things. And sometimes, too, it's one of the democratic credentials, demonstration. They want to demonstrate. How are they calling it? They say mock swearing in or inauguration. Mock. Is it M-O-C-K? Is it the word M-O-C-K?
Yeah, mock, yeah.
What does that mean? What does that mean? So it means that this is not proper inauguration of Chamisa. We are just doing something like this is a toy, or this is something, semblance of So what do you want even waste your time?
But is it the best approach? Because it's a fragile country that has been experiencing a lot of such instabilities, you know. So is it a proper way to do this?
To do what?
To just do this mock, what do you call inauguration? And how sure can we be that once it's done? Because from the statement he made, he said this mock inauguration is to establish the fact that he is the duly elected president of what? Zimbabwe. Analyze that statement well. Duly elected president. So what is he trying to achieve out of that?
Well,
fire is the
I'm a peacemaker because the Minister of Communication or Information has come out to say that if they go ahead, they will deal with them mercilessly.
Yeah, and I support them. Yeah, honestly, I support them.
I don't support that. I would have ways, he said, we would deal with them legally, but what?
Or leniently.
Not leniently, but you can only deal with them by the tenets of the law. By saying that you deal with them mercilessly.
Yeah, the law is has no mercy for anyone, so that's why
No. Law, who says the law has no mercy for anyone?
If you've done something wrong, how can the law have mercy on you?
Do you know that if you've done something wrong and you just admit without state waiting resources to prosecute, you admit, they cut half of your sentence away.
So is that merciness?
How do you call that?
Yeah, you tell me what merciness is.
No, how do you call that if you are supposed to go in for 20 years and for whatever reason they give you 10 years? How do you call that?
I think it's just a system in place. They brought in the legal system that people will always come out to admit their fault, you know.
When people start talking about mercilessly, they are not talking about law.
What are they talking about?
They are talking about merciless. No mercy.
Physical assault or
whatever, no mercy. I want you to say we would deal with you legally or by the tenets of the
law,
law,
okay.
then I know what you are talking about. But if you say that we will deal with you mercilessly, then it means that we are not talking about law or anything, you know. But what I'm asking myself is, what they are doing, are they breaching any law?
To me, they are.
They are
trying
to
to
mock immigration.
I would call it coup d'etat.
What is coup d'etat?
Yeah,
if it's mock immigration, listen, when people go into elections and they lose, they are so bitter that if you win and you have a country like Zimbabwe to govern, you just tighten your security network and go ahead. You don't have to be distracted by this and you are chasing them and say we will deal with you and all those things.
Now, how would you know what happened while they are there? Or do you know
So
if
they go to a room and they get a lawyer to come in there and say you have now been declared. Meanwhile, they are saying that what they are doing is mock. When we were in school, we used to do mock.
I think the mock is the media that brought in the term mock. They didn't say mock. I have to correct you on this one. They didn't bring the word. Yeah, the media. Maybe to them it's a mock queen, but they didn't.
What are you saying?
No, the Shamisa guy, his spokesman, didn't say mock.
What did he say?
He said they are going to inaugurate him.
Who?
Shamisa.
Who is
inaugurating Shamisa?
Who is inaugurating Shamisa?
Who?
Who?
I don't know where they are going to get him.
You know, these are some of the things that we spend energy to wait. Because listen, when a candidate is elected as president or duly elected as president, first of all, it is only one person, electoral commissioner, who can announce as such. Okay. So if electoral commissioner has not even announced you as duly elected, you are wasting your time. Or you go to court, and the court announce what the electoral commissioner has announced, and will force the electoral commissioner to announce the other one. The court cannot even announce that or pronounce you that you are the winner. You know. So that is one stage. Then the second stage is we have constitutionally mandated institutions that can inaugurate you as a president. So if MPP people meet and say we are inaugurating an Akufo-Addo as president, it will not make him as president.
But don't you think there could be a possibility of insurgency rising out of this? You know, some people are so fanatic.
That one I agree with you, but
they are so fanatic.
You as a security, you know, state apparatus should be on your guard to protect property and lives. You don't come out to say that we will deal with you mercilessly. You know.
But maybe you have to send a strong warning. You know, some people if you trying to be lenient, soft with them.
But he's
trying to be tough, you know, so that maybe that might have scared them and they won't do it.
You don't need to even scare them. I don't know the Zimbabwe constitution, but I'm not even sure that if you meet in a room and you want to put somebody in a palanquin and say you've been elected as president,
no, it's serious.
In your party head office, it doesn't go anywhere. Don't let us waste our time. Let people to do that.
Assuming in Ghana, Mahama comes out. Assuming he
comes out where?
Sorry, it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere.
Let me tell you something. I'm full MPP support. If 2020 election we win like we will win, and Mama and the NDC meet at NDC headquarters, and they carry Mama soda high, and they say, if you win, you are our president. I wouldn't want an MPP man or anyone to go there. Let them carry him high at the NDC headquarters. When they are tired, they will drop him. It is only when they decide to go to the Jubilee House or something that one can say that actually this time round you are going to security zone with this noise and blah blah blah. So the police have to intervene. But I wouldn't be happy to want to go there and stop NDC people from saying that Mama is this or that. So it depends on what they want to do.
But do you know,
if they go to Independence Square where we inaugurate our president to go and do these things, then we may want to put some weight on it. But if people come out to say, I will do this, and we are chasing that, I will do that, you know.
Okay, but do you know Biafra? Do you know Biafra in Nigeria? Do you know what they are going through? Biafra.
Yeah, Biafra war or what?
Yeah, Biafra. You know, they are trying to separate themselves from Nigeria, and they have their own president, according to them. They have their own president who is trying to vote, who is ruling them. So if maybe this man...
This is freedom of association, this is
because,
freedom of
but
association.
Who
recognizes the Biafra president? Who? Is it in Africa or anywhere? It's just them.
Yeah, but it's causing a lot of uneasiness.
Because we are giving it currency. We are giving some currency to it. That's why as a parent, sometimes if your child is playing tantrum, just ignore them. Go and sleep. They will stop. When they know they are crying and you are interested, they stop crying. What's the problem? They will not stop. If you know that nothing has happened to this child, he's just trying to do something, just leave them.
Do you know how Liman got overthrown in 1981? Do you remember that? Do you know the way you say, oh, Jato. Jato the one you're free. It's exactly the same thing you are doing.
Listen.
Jato the one you're free.
Listen.
So how can you ignore such a threat?
Listen. No one came out to threaten that they were going to do coup.
We don't know what they are doing.
I mean, listen, no one came
it's
out.
It's tantamount to coup.
I'm telling you that no one came out.
Jerry didn't come out.
That's right. It was security information. And he thought that how can somebody who was kind of came out of coup and gave power to civilian government come back and do coup within 2 years? And then this is proper common sense. This is J.J. Rawlings and the June 4th people doing coup d'etat. They were successful, and they said that we don't intend to stay power for long. We want to hand over to civilian government. They facilitated for election. Liman won, and Liman became president. If anything at all, Liman was thinking as a rational human being that this is somebody who actually facilitated the election that I won. So if people are saying that this man wants to overthrow me, I cannot just believe this. You know. Yes, he paid for it, for not believing it. But I bet you, if Liman had acted and imprisoned JJ, the whole world would have seen Liman as a very wicked man, that the very person who overthrew the previous, military leader, brought you to power, and now you've imprisoned him.
Okay.
So Liman was in a very difficult situation, and I guess maybe his intelligence were not kind of packaged in a way that he could believe it. So he thought that it is all rumor, and or probably it was rumor, because if you even listen to the 31st people and all those things, I don't want us to go into that.
We shouldn't drift on this one.
But for me, you have not done election before. Have you done election before? You've not contested election before and things like that. And when people do elections, people, because of the weight or the premium that people put on it, and the expectation that they will win, when they lose, some struggle to cope with it. So there are some reactions that people do afterwards. So if you are not in election, if you did not take part in the election, or if you are on the side of the victor, and you believe that those who have lost, you just kept quiet and clap for you that you've won, you got it wrong. You have to sympathize with them that actually they've invested, if not money, the emotional capital that people have invested, and they believe that they had that they will win. Okay. And more often when you go to some of our African countries, or maybe African elections in general, there's always manipulations here and there, that sometimes you don't lose because of that manipulation, because maybe you were going to lose anyway, but those things contribute, But it's not easy for people to swallow that thing. And when they are coming out and saying things like that, you don't just go there and I quite remember somebody saying that, oh, you don't kill an ant with a hammer, sledgehammer. And the president saying that, oh, I will kill an ant with a bulldozer. What do you gain from killing an ant with a bulldozer?
But don't you think, because your government, MPP, is known to be associated with these Zimbabwean position. You know, there was this rumor that came out that, I don't know if it's true, but your government have sent some people to go there to wait for them during their elections.
For elections.
Yeah, that's what the
I don't expect you to say. Let me.
No, that's the information that came out, and they were deported.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The whole world, political parties believe in association. Some call themselves socialists, and others call themselves capitalists. And those who believe they are capitalists, they form association. And those believe who are socialists are form association. It doesn't mean that you take any keen interest in what happens in that country. Because there have been instances that when you are in power, like Ghana, Nana Akufo being in power, and the conservatives are in power, we all believe in capitalism. But we may see that we will not get anything significant from UK. So when UK is having their election, Nana Akufo or MPP wouldn't have any keen interest that it should be this or that. Sometimes it puts your ego that what we believe in is getting popular acceptance worldwide. But what we've seen is that it's people shifting between the two. And even if you look at my political party, at the moment we've all more or less moved to the center now. You know, look at all the social intervention that we are putting in place. You know. So we don't say that, oh, we are going there to reach. Well, we don't even know.
That was the information that came. So anyway, let's continue.
Some of the information, I think you get them from the NDC platform. That don't rely on them. They are not reliable.
So now we are moving straight to the occurrence in Ghana. The occurrence in Ghana, and a lot happened over the past week, but we couldn't choose all of them. The very few that caught our eyes is the current tussle between the AG, Auditor General, and his board chairman. The Auditor General is Mr. Daniel Yao Dumelo, who has petitioned the president that this Nanado's appointee is interfering in his work. There's unlawful interference.
Let me stop you there before we go further.
Attempting to commission
the Auditor General is also an appointee of the president. Okay. So these two positions are all political appointees. Okay. So that is that. One is not like I have run through the rank to become this and all of a sudden somebody. It is a political appointment.
Why is it that the man is talking as if nobody can touch him in the name of Mr. Daniel Yao Dumelo, the Auditor General? From the statement he made, like see if he's untouchable, even not even by the board.
I think he comes under one of the article 74 of his holders, like the charge officers and those things. You have to impeach them if they do something wrong. So it was John Mama who appointed him.
It was who?
John Mama.
Who appointed Dumelo. So why are you saying it's a president appointee?
It's president.
No, but you know Ghana, everything is politics. So that's why I was very quiet trying to get the information from you. I didn't want to jump to conclusion.
What conclusion?
Because, you know, in Ghana, as soon as somebody's come, a political party appointee leaves office, we try to chase that previous appointee out of office and bring in our own political affiliation appointee. So this man, he's been appointed by Mahama, but still in office because maybe assumingly he can't be chased out. But this current board chairman was nominated by President Kufuor. Appointed by President as the Auditor General.
Who?
The chairman who is it Professor Edward? He was appointed by President Kufuor. So don't you think there's some political tension or some political push and pull between these two that's causing all this?
Have you looked at what they are talking about?
Yeah, but normally they won't come out to say that it's politics. They were trying to sugarcoat it.
No, if you do things like this, we don't help the cause. We don't help people to know what is politics in this. Look at what he's talking about. What is politics in it? People are fighting for their own interests. If you give contract to contractor A, and I cancel it to give it to contractor B, what does that tell
So
you?
in this, let me ask you a question. Who do you think is right on this? Do you believe the chairman?
I don't believe in anyone. I'm very consistent. Why should I believe the chairman or believe the Domelo person? Listen.
Don't you think that Domelo is trying to bring it to the public domain just to paint a black picture of the current administration? That's what some people are saying.
Well, people can always say what they want to say, but people have to go beyond everything and say, you know, not long ago, we sat in this very studio, and even in Ghana now, that is topic of the town, that somebody who is a board chairman came out to say that I was non-executive board chairman, trying to say that he did not get involved in the day-to-day affairs of the bank. What did we not say in this studio? That if you're board chairman, whatever happens by the chief executive or the manager of the bank, you should know. And that how do you call it? The chief executive, or in this case, similar to the auditor general, should not be doing anything that has not been approved or sanctioned by the board. We are not talking about the normal core function of auditing state organizations. But if you are going to procure something that you are going to use state fund, the board should know why we are going to buy that and at what cost. The board should approve that.
That's true.
And this is where you're looking at what he's talking about, that if I go for company A, you cancel it and give it to company B.
So don't you think the board chairman, that's what I'm saying, the board chairman think maybe it's his party in power, so he can override and impose his authority on this.
This is not. Listen.
We don't know the underground.
We don't need to go. Listen.
If you should go there to analyze it.
But if you are going there, you have to go there properly. When we said board is always above the chief executive or whatever. Okay, so if
you think the board chairman, what he's doing is in his
no, the fact that the board is above the chief executive or something, that's not mean what you are doing is also right. But if you are looking at the organizational structure, the board is above what the chief executive or the auditor general is answerable to the board. It's answerable to the board. I'm taking away the personalities. I'm taking away the personalities. It is the board and the office, the auditor general. But the moment you put Domelo here and you put Jao here, then you'll be looking at two people who are fighting for their own interests.
And that's what's happening here.
And when people are fighting for their own interests, it is two people having their own interests. We are not talking about politics here. If you give contract to your girlfriend and I cancel it and give it to my girlfriend, what is politics in this? You believe that it's your girlfriend who is supposed to have
I know that I have a political power behind me.
It's not political. Listen, when you are the auditor general, your auditor general, the only power that you have is the position that you hold.
I'm talking about the chairman, not the auditor general. The chairman, he knows he has a political power behind him.
No.
That's why he's trying to subdue the auditor general in his dealing.
When you are board chairman, the power that you have is the board that you sit on it.
Yeah, so why then should he go and interfere with the board and the auditor general activities and even try to procure, try to establish auditing and stuff? That's all in the letter he sent to Nana. So why is he doing that if he knows it's not in his remit to do that?
I think you are mixing things up. Somebody has made an allegation. And I've sat in this studio and said that when you make an allegation, once it's proven, it is the allegation. You want us to take it as if the fact that Domelo has said those things, they are facts. They're not facts. These are the allegations. Once it's proven that this is what is done.
So assuming it's proven, what will you make out of it?
What about if it's not proven? What if it's not proven? I don't want us to go into that speculation. What I want to say is that these are two people, because for me, in some of the issues that the same person making allegation, I'm picking on them, that if you say that, oh, you even call my deputies to a meeting when I was not in the country, you held the meeting and all those things, you see that there's personality clash somewhere. You see that there's a personality clash somewhere. and people want to take advantage. One can ask, why do you hold the meeting when he was not around? Okay. But one will also say that, so if an organization, like me working for an organization, can people say that when I go on leave, no meeting can happen because I'm on leave? You want to wait for me to come, whereas I have deputies?
Okay.
You know, so until people investigate and knowing that, why did you wait that he went on leave for 2 weeks? What was the urgency that you had to hold that meeting, that they could not wait for him to come? Or, you know, when it's investigated and people know what's the purpose of the meeting, and when did they get to know that we need to have that meeting? Or, and, you know, people know that maybe somebody is making flimsy excuses.
Okay.
And why did you want to go for restrictive tender, but not open tender?
Okay.
And why are you crying if the one that you prefer to be awarded the contract is changed? Why are you crying? Because if it is about the work, and the one who got the job or nominated subsequently also did the job, why are you so interested in a particular vendor delivering the service? You get to know that people have vested interest in who gets what contracts, you know. And for me, when people are doing this, then we are talking about individuals wanting, you know, their own interest rather than the state. And sometimes they want to bring it to the public domain to invite us in and support them.
So you agree with me that it could be a political tension?
No, I don't agree with the political. I've already told you. I will agree with you if you say people are fighting for their personal interests. But the political thing, I don't see where the politics is coming from. And don't forget that when somebody is appointed to a position, it doesn't mean that person is a politician. That is a topic that we are going to talk about now in this same studio, the topic that you selected. That MPP communicators are crying that they don't get job. And they are saying that even when they submitted names of people to the forestry department, that they wanted people to be, some communicators to be given position, they were not offered. That should tell you that this is a government that people don't get positions because they are communicators for the government.
But can you give me one example of maybe a top appointee in Ghana who is not a politician or who has not been involved in a party, who is equally qualified but has not been involved in the politics of the country? Can you give me one example?
I don't have to sit here and give you examples.
I think it can never happen because in every appointment you have to be involved and do the dirty work as a politician before you can be given an appointment. So don't say.
I thought you sat in this studio and accuse people that when NDC MPP, my party, came to power, people who were not actively involved in MPP were given positions because they are related to Asafo Mafo and Akufo-Addo and other people. I thought you said that here.
Said that who? That they are giving who?
That people have been given political appointment or positions.
And they are not involved in the politics
yeah. But they got the positions because they are related to people.
I've never said that here.
And you discuss it here. I quite remember you allowed an Otafuja to say that Osafuja or Mafo has given position to 2 of his children and other things. This studio, people have even talked about MPP.
But it's not political appointment. What I'm trying to say is if there's a position somewhere, you push them to go and do it, different from being appointed by the president. That's what we are talking about. The CEO's position and stuff. That's all, not any other position. It could be maybe any other work. You can be working, getting good money or stuff. But I'm talking about the CEOs. The CEOs.
I don't know why you'll be talking about CEO. They are talking about board chairman.
It's all included, CEOs, board chairman.
Board chairman. What do you get as board chairman? What is so special about being a board chairman?
Well, the
you are not
question
paid.
is,
You are not, listen, when you are board chairman, you are not paid.
But you are given sitting allowances, everything. But every meeting you go, you are given allowances here. So.
Yeah. And how much do you get? How much do you get?
I don't know. I've never been a board chairman.
You should know.
Your government
you should know because it's not good enough for you to say that they get certain allowance and you don't want to know how much they get. And you think that you'll be being somebody favor by letting them
And they
board
have
members.
influence, affect contracts and stuff. You see what I mean?
They have influence.
They have influence in approving or disapproving contracts if they are part of the
Boards
board.
don't approve contracts.
No, they have influence. I'm not saying they do. They have influence. The term is influence.
How can they influence that?
Hmm?
How can they influence that?
You know, in Ghana, we practice whom you know. So if there's something...
how? Tell me how, if you're a board member, you can influence contract. Because if you are not part of the people who approve, who win the contract, how can you influence it?
You can influence it by exerting your political influence or political pressure.
What political influence?
Because you went there through political appointment, so you know your contacts in there, whoever gives out the contract.
I'm asking you a question now. If you are made, say Ghana Commercial Bank Board Chairman, how can you influence contracts? You are a member of the board.
Because maybe if the president nominated me, I will have the connection, the links
Connection
everywhere.
where?
Within the presidency, wherever my appointment came, I'll have the connections.
But contracts are not approved in the presidency.
But they have what do we call it? They do it. We know.
They do what?
That's what Ken has been saying, that the presidency, they've been dashing out. It came out. We know in this studio we sat here and lambasted what was his name? The chief of staff. No, the staff Freeman's deputies, that they've been awarding contracts and stuff, taking money, which was not true though. So obviously they have what do we call it? Influence.
No, Brefo, you know, when we come here and we are doing program and we want to educate people, we need to educate people and educate them well with facts. Okay. I sit here not as a board chairman. If I know people in the presidency and I want to influence who wins a contract, that maybe the contract is being given by the chief of staff, I don't have to go and sit in a board before I can influence that contract. If I already know people that I can influence them, then by virtue of me knowing people, I can talk to them and influence them. But I'm saying that if you make me a board member of, say, electricity company, how can I influence that? Because even if electricity company wants to, say, import, say, meters, it is not a board. It is not a board.
So who does
that
it?
will give that is the very thing that they are talking about here. That the board will, the executive, led by the chief executive, will bring to the board that we have, say, 2,000 metered houses, but we have over 3,000 houses that are not metered. So we want to import more meters so that the houses.
Who award the contract?
The Ghana Electricity Company will ask for bid. And when they bring the bid, they have the committee, and that committee is not made up of the board. Board members don't sit on it. It will be conflict of interest because we are the ones agreeing that go and buy something. You cannot buy it from us. Okay. And that is where...
Where did the committee come from? Do they come from
they
the
select
outside?
them, and some of the, even something like the procurement committee, is the same committee that was in place before NDC was in power, and we've come to meet, so no one has stayed. So the very people that, if you want to go for sole sourcing or restricted tender, the very people who make a decision that we agree or disagree are the same people who are there, you know. District assemblies and other places, they have their own board, and they form their own board. It doesn't come from president like I've moved you to go and sit on the board of blah, 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 blah. So don't let us make it like that. What I'm saying is...
But that's the reality in Ghana.
What I will agree with you is that individual people will always have their influences. Therefore, if you're a chief executive, your brother-in-law may have a company who will be willing to supply us with coke if you are coming to have our anniversary. And you give it to your brother-in-law because you believe that your brother-in-law is going to give it to us at 95p instead of £1 in the market. So you will write a report to say that it's cheaper than the market price. That's your reason. Okay. But I will also say that actually your brother-in-law is giving it to us at 95, but I know company XYZ will give it to us at 90. That's cheaper. So why don't you go for the 90 and you're going for the 95? And when you dig deep, you see that the one that I'm bringing at 90 is also my mother-in-law. So you want to give it to your brother-in-law, and I want to give to my mother-in-law. And now
and that's where the kickback sets in. Whoever is able to pay his way out.
No, listen.
We are in Ghana. We know all these. If I'm able to pay you, you pay all the rest of the committee members.
What I'm saying is, if I recommend for this thing to be given to my brother-in-law at 90p, and you wanted your sister-in-law at 95p, and it is the same bottle of Coke that we are getting, that it makes sense for you to buy from my brother-in-law, because 90p is cheaper than 95p. What I will have problem is that I gave it to my brother-in-law at 105, whereas the market price is actually 1 cedi.
And that's what's happening in most.
No, I'm just making
inflation of contrast.
You know. But that one, the board that I'm not a member will have to justify why Coke is sold in the market at 1 cedi, but they approve for somebody to supply it at 1.5. And that one, it will not be me, board chairman or board member. The board and the committee that is set up to procurement committee or board will have to justify why they made that decision. So if you allow me, Brefo, if I come and see you and say, okay, you give me something, I will approve for you, and you take money and you approve it, you will be the one who must be held accountable, not me. Okay. But at the end of the day, you are the one making those decisions.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mr. Isaac. Thank you, Mr. Barnier. I think our time is fast spent now, but we have a last topic, which we will bring in to conclude the program, which is the strike of the serial callers. I didn't know there were serial callers association in any of the Ghanaian political parties until this week. So as I have my able communication director here, they call themselves voluntary communication officers. And information we have gathered is that they are each paid, or the parties, or the MPP government in particular, they pay them to buy credit and stuff to call in. So I'm trying to decipher this issue. Do you think it's fair and it's just to use money, give to your serial callers just to call in? And now they are out protesting that they've been ignored.
No, if you want to say the true story, you have to say it the way it is. How did they get paid?
How do they get paid? The Ashanti regional minister came, that they give them money.
From where?
Sorry?
From where?
Oh, from, I think he said MDC and stuff, from their page. So I'm not talking about the source, but I'm asking...
Why are you not talking about the source?
I didn't say it's government money.
You have to say that.
No, it's not
because you know, when we are doing communication, it's fair we just tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Because sometimes when we hold information, it is similar to actually twisting information. Because if I come out that the regional minister is saying that he on his own contacted the DCEs and everybody and said that, look, we are holding political office. And we are holding these offices because MPP is in power. And these are people who are communicating the good words of the MPP, for which we are in power. Why don't we contribute something between ourselves and give it to these people? Because what they are doing, we are direct beneficiaries of what they are doing.
Just calling into radio stations and stuff to spread propaganda. Is that what you're saying?
We don't do propaganda.
I'm talking about serial callers, because normally that's what they do.
They don't do propaganda. And MPP, we don't do propaganda. You call in and listen. We've gone past the stage where people believe in propaganda. Okay. I come in here not to do propaganda.
Yeah, I know.
Come here to do propaganda.
No, you don't.
So that is
you are not a serial caller anyway. You are an official communicator, but they are voluntary communicators.
Now, who said that official communicators are different from the other people?
Because they call it the serial callers, you know.
Is it because
you have a communication team? Are they part of a communication team?
No, because I can. What we are doing, we are all helping the party by trying to propagate.
But I'm saying, are they part of the communication team, the serial callers, the official communication team?
Listen, we have official communication team. Okay. And some of the communication members also phone in at radio stations.
And so they are the serial callers.
You may even call them serial callers.
But they
because
form association.
the meaning of serial caller is somebody who is regularly doing something and it follows a pattern or whatever. Okay, so we have coined this name for them. But what I'm saying now, these are people who are sympathizers of MPP. And they're not just sympathizers. They are the MPP members, and some of them even hold positions in other branches and things like that. Okay, but this topic has come out because of the specific role that they play. Okay, so say even if you are branch, or ward coordinator or youth secretary or whatever, and you still phone in at radio program, you can say call yourself as a serial caller, but they have a name. They call themselves voluntary communication, something. The word that they've even chosen for themselves is clear that the work that they are doing is voluntary. Okay, I come here twice a week. It's a voluntary work. No one pays me.
That's true.
Okay. If somebody decides that actually as I drive to the studio twice a week and they want to help me with petrol money, I'll have to commend that person. That at least somebody has seen that you are doing something great, and you want to help me do that. But in the first instance, I don't come here with the expectation that somebody will buy petrol for me. I believe in what MPP is doing, and I want to be part of it. And this is what I can do to help them. Okay. But so I'm just taking the first part that this regional minister is saying, that they have seen that it is expensive to be phoned in radio stations and talking. So we cannot pay you for the time. We can only help you pay for part of the bills, the cost that you incur in making phone calls. That is what they've done. These people don't appreciate that much.
But we have to have such a structure in place.
What a structure?
The serial caller calling every week. Can't normal listeners use their own pen and call? Do you have to have a particular serial caller who will be calling just to
but from what you are hearing, is this somebody who set it up that in our party we have serial callers?
Yeah, from the way they say the association, there are 64 in total and stuff. So it means it's more or less organized among the ranks and file of those involved.
So do you believe that radio stations, only 64 people phone radio stations in Ashanti region?
No, these ones.
Yeah, they are the ones
who
talk on a regular basis, and they've decided to come together to form a. We have freedom of association there. This is not a structure in MPP. They are not known structures. And I'm telling that these 64 people, some of them are even ward secretaries and things like that. But they've decided to come up with this rule, and this is something they are doing. No one will stop them from doing that. That is what they are doing. And people have seen that actually these people are very committed, because they do it on a daily basis, not like one day when they are listening to radio program and they decide to phone in. We have people who phone in every day, that even radio presenters, when they hear their voice, they know who is calling. So they know that these are people who phone this radio station on regular basis. Okay. And they use their own money, they use their own time. And sometimes, if you listen to them, for you to get to that radio station, you need to have 3 or 4 phones. When this is calling that, so one of them will get through. That's why when you have one phone and you want to phone in, you don't get through. They have 4 or 5 phones, and all of them are times. So when they are making calls, it's like 5 people phoning, and one of them will get. And because previously people even accused radio presenters that, oh, you know their numbers and you only pick their numbers. No, that is how it works. So for me, I cannot sit here and underrate the work that they are doing. They are doing a good job, and I encourage them to continue. But let's look at the substantive issue.
them coming out that they've not.
For me, not coming out. What they are saying is that they actually want a job, but not to be given souvenir. Okay.
Okay.
And I totally agree with them.
You agree with them?
No, I agree with their view that they want jobs. They want.
They say they will promise jobs, but
they want to be taught to catch fish. They don't want people to catch fish.
I think let's make it clear for the listeners, so that they all ask you that you corrected me. What they said is that they were promised to be given jobs.
By who?
But now they've been ignored.
But they promised by who?
Sorry?
And when?
I don't know. It could be during the campaign time. I don't know. But
was it there? These people, were they there? Were they doing different jobs than other people?
But that's what they've come out. They said they were promised, and that's why they bought.
That's why.
And the man also said they've been given. They are just lazy. They've been given jobs at KMA,
and they don't want it.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. That's what I don't understand. So why are you saying they said they want real job and stuff, and they don't want to be? They want to catch fish.
That is what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. Some people are teachers, or maybe they are teaching in private school, but they believe that job is short-term job. That is not what they want to do. They want to go to the army.
Okay.
So that person, even if you give them job at the KMA, that come and work here. I know you talk on the radio, you speak well. So come and be PRO. He said, no, I want to be in the army.
Okay.
That's what I want. They will not take what I've offered them. But me, as district chief executive, I can only employ people at the district chief executive office. I cannot employ people for the army. Okay. But if you want to go to the army, there's a criteria that you need to follow. And if you don't pass through that criteria, you will not get it. Or if the army, they want only 20 people, and 500 people have qualified. Not that you don't qualify. Yes, your certificate, everything will show that you qualify, but you not get it. And this is something that I want even the NDC and those of you who are neutral to even commend the government, that when we are offering jobs, we don't look at our communicators and give them jobs. Because this is what the NDC has been saying, that, oh, this is friends and family government and we only give jobs to people whom you know and things like that. These are people who are part of our government, who are not just parts.
But don't you think the jobs are simply not there? The jobs are simply not there. That's why you can't offer them some.
The jobs are not enough, not that they are not there. Because you know that we've recruited over 20,000 in the forestry department, but some of them don't want to do that job. That's why the regional minister was saying that individuals have been recommended for various positions, but they turn it down. Don't forget that these are people who are making phone calls on a daily basis. So don't take it for granted that they are not doing anything at all. They are doing something, and they want something better. So if you offer them something, and they believe it's not better than what they're already doing, do you take it for the sake of you being offered a job or something? But like here, people look at job they want and they do it. They don't do job because that is what they get, or that is the only thing available. Because here, if you want to change job, you can change job easily. If you want to work for any food chain, you don't have one to choose from. You have huge to choose. You know, if you want to work for the clothing industry, you have a lot. If you want to be self-employed, you have options. So you have to decide. Unfortunately, where we come from, Ghana is not like that. There are limited opportunities. So people believe that always somebody must help them. And yes, sometimes we must help them, you know. But what I'm happy is, and you don't bring those things out, that even Canada, Japan, and other MPP people have come out that everything, MPP are saying that go online and apply. When you go online and you make an application, it means you as MPP member, you are applying same as NDC person, and whoever is selected based upon your qualification or competence or whatever is selected, not because you are MPP or NDC. And this is good to some extent, because we are giving jobs to people on merit. Okay. But the other side that we need to look at is what you've just said, that we need to expand the economy so that it's not like, oh, 100 people qualify, but we can only recruit only 15 people. When immigration people are looking for 15,000, or how many people they were looking for, that the numbers were, you know, huge, you know. We should do well to expand the economy so that people can actually move between jobs. That when now, if you're a Ghanaian, you have a job, like you work for fire service, you don't even think of changing job because you see yourself lucky to have a job. So you don't really think about changing job. You only think about maybe changing from my hometown to Kumasi or to Accra on the same job that you are in, but not to change job, because people will even say that you are greedy. You work for fire service or you're a teacher and you are not happy, and people thinking that, well, what's wrong with you? You know. So I want us to expand the economy so that everybody can get a job and people can actually choose what they want to do. And the communicators, you must appreciate that we are in a very difficult situation, that when we are giving jobs, we cannot be giving to people only because they are communicators. You know. And sometimes that is the difficulty. When you tell communicators to even apply online like everybody is doing, then afterwards maybe you speak to somebody that have made my application, so follow it up for me. They believe that there should be a list of protocol, and you don't even go for interview. And more often you go and you pass, because if you can come on radio and talk well, and people believe in you, why can't you go and sit in front of few people and articulate yourself, you know? And the job that we look for God's sake, they are not jobs that are above us. It's because there are no jobs that they even empanel people to sit and decide whether you can do the job or not. You know, some of the jobs, people overqualify. People finish universities with degrees and they give jobs that really you don't have to hold a degree to do, but you still have to go for an interview. You know.
Okay, I think
when I was growing up, I think after 1 or 2 interviews, I told myself that my only difficulty is to shortlist me for interview. To shortlist me for the interview is what sometimes I don't get shortlisted. But when I'm shortlisted, I know that I'll be successful. Because if I'm coming for an interview for a teacher, you cannot ask me questions how to how do you call it? What is the word if you are using aeroplane? To pilot aeroplane. You will interview me about how to teach, my experience in teaching. And this one, it's not a book that I'm going to buy and read in it from that book. I know how to do it and I've done it. So even if I wake up, I can do it. I don't even need to ask someone coming out, what question did they ask you? You know.
That's true.
If you don't qualify for the position that you've gone for, and you struggle at the interview stage, that tells you that you struggle even doing the job. You know, because the interview is always easier than the job that you are going to do. So if you struggle for the interview and you want to avoid the interview, then it means that you will struggle at the work site and they will kick you out. You know, I don't believe in that. But I believe that if we are able to expand the economy and there are more jobs, all these people will be happy and get jobs. You know. And what I also advise these people is that when I'm listening, they decided not even to go to any of the leaders. They just met and made a decision that we need to come out with a statement, and they said they are going to ban their phones and things like that.
Yeah, they really did ban it.
Yeah. What did they get from it?
I think that
this is, you know, when you make decisions based on emotions and things like that.
That is sort of communication, voluntary communication members we have. See, they shouldn't.
And sometimes I'm not sure people really think about name they put on themselves. If you call yourself a voluntary communicator.
Anyway, Listeners and viewers, it's been fun today.
Why do you call yourself voluntary communicator? Maybe you'd be better off saying that you're a communicator, and you will keep it silent, saying that, oh, I'm still expecting people to pay me for communicating. But if you call yourself a voluntary communicator, and you say that I don't get paid for that.
But no, they say they want jobs. They're not saying you should pay them. They want it in kindness, which is offering them job. That's what they are saying.
For me, and for me, that is the irony. Most of them, because that is what happens. If I go to Ghana now, and somebody gives me a position to teach, and they believe they've done me a favor because I have my certificate as a professional teacher. So when I'm teaching, it's not like I need to be a communicator before you allow me to teach.
What you are saying only holds true when there are the supply exceeds the demand. But if there are limited opportunities in teaching, and someone picks your CV and say, young man, let me put you into teaching, let me give you something to do, you've done you a big favor.
It's not a big favor.
I think we can go on and on and on like that.
I think I'll be consistent on this. If I'm going to teach before you pay me, what is the favor here?
No, the mere fact that he's
if you put me somewhere that I'll not be teaching but will be paying me, then I will be with the favor that you are talking about. I'm not teaching but I'm getting paid. Then somebody is doing me a favor, and that one is even corruption I will not take. But if I'm going to teach before you pay me, or even if they are
getting the opportunity to work is what we are talking about.
And that is what I'm also saying, that if you are looking for people with teaching qualification, and I have teaching qualification, and you appoint 10 people out of 1,000 people, and the 10 people that you've appointed, they all have same qualification like me, where is the favor coming from? So you did not actually take me because of anything. If I have less qualification and you appoint me, then I can say that actually, if you were to go by qualification, I wouldn't have been here.
No,
but if actually I
overqualified, let's talk about positions. Maybe there were just 2 positions, and about 5 applicants have come in the same position. Maybe 5 applicants, all equally good. Everything the same standard. And the person decides to, oh, this guy, I know him from somewhere where I live or where I came from the same town. Let me give it to him. Is that not a favor?
No.
What is it then?
So if that person does not know me, would he appoint or not appoint? If the person does not know any 5 people, would he appoint 2 from the 5?
Will he appoint? No, in this case, he knows you. Maybe
no, the point that I'm establishing is that if qualification, everything is okay, so really it doesn't matter who he appoints. Somebody may say that I want men here, so you appoint 2 because they are men. Or I want those who are young and appoint. You know, these are not even important issues or necessary issues, but because he needs to appoint only 2. You appoint 2, or sometimes somebody can even decide that, okay, I don't know any of them and I don't want to know them. Let me use alphabetical order. Who are the first 2 that will come first? So my name starts with B, and then you look at it and there's no A, and so and he appoints me. What is the favor in this? But for me, my position is, if he appoints me and start paying me without any work, then I will be looking at the favor. But if you appoint me and you start paying me after work, I don't see the favor at all. Because if you don't appoint me, somebody will appoint me, man.
That's Mr. Banner for you. He's so confident of his skills that.
Listen.
But I like that.
No, it's not a
but some people are struggling.
When I'm reading the newspapers, I see 1,001 adverts that I know I don't qualify, I will not even apply. If they want doctors, if they want engineers, if they want accountants, there are so many things that I will not go there. Because I don't qualify.
From what you're saying, you have done it for a while. I'm using what you're doing now as an example. You've done it for a while. You've got the experience, you've got the connection, everything. So when
connection?
I'm just saying
I don't
network.
Go to with
I'm talking about networking.
Well, I don't go to work with networking. Listen.
I'm just saying. But there will be a new graduate.
When I go to interview and they don't ask me, what are you bringing to the team? then I will ask myself, what kind of panel is this? You don't even know what I'm bringing to the team, and you want me to be part of the team. I know I'll be bringing something to the team, so I want them to even count themselves fortunate to have me as part of the team.
What I'm saying is there will be someone who just finish uni, less experienced. You see, not having got
willing to learn.
Willing to learn and work.
And work. Sometimes that
and there will be thousands of such people. Thousands, not just one.
What I don't believe, what I don't believe is, as a company, you advertise position, and you say that you want people with minimum of 2 years experience, and you end up recruiting people who have no experience. Then, as a company, you've even lost integrity. Okay, but if you advertise position, and you say that applicants should be having degree, you don't put experience there. What you are saying is that you don't care about experience. So when you are interviewing, you want people who are willing to learn. And sometimes there are some people, and not sometimes, it is always difficult to unlearn bad behavior. So some people have been to other places and they've learned bad behaviors, and when they come and you want them to do things right, they struggle. So sometimes you want somebody who has not done it before, and you teach them. That's why if you go to, how do you call it, the driving schools and things like that, they tell you that sometimes it's easier to teach people who have no experience in driving than people who have learned the crude method as well. And you want to tell them the right way, and they still go back to So it depends on what you are looking for.
Okay.
You know.
I think our time
but
is
I will
fast
not put advert there that I want 2 or 3 years minimum experience, and I end up, unless I'm for that, I don't get anyone with 2 or 3 years experience.
Okay.
Then I said, well, I don't get what I want, so I need to take these people and train them.
Okay.
But you not come because you have a nice haircut, or your uncle spoke to me on the phone to say, oh, Isaac, my daughter or grandchild is coming, and
Okay, yeah, it's been fun today. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for sticking and staying with us till this time. It has been me, Nana Brefo, who brought you this excited program. And we had the Honorable Chairman for the New Patriotic Party in Reading and its environment, Chairman Mr. Barnier. He came here to grace the occasion as always. And so I will use this opportunity for him to say his last words to the listeners and viewers, his loved ones, and even to his enemies before we leave the studio. But before I go over to him, I would like to extend my greetings to the General, Sugar, Daddy Sugar. He couldn't come here today, and also Nana Otafrija and Isaac Esripi.
The fact of the matter is NDC and its affiliates are on strike, so you will not be seeing them here.
Now, you know that Nana is not in the country, so we shouldn't, we should give them the right information.
Give who the right information?
Listen, Nana is not in the country, so we should...
Was he coming or what? Don't make it like Nana is not in the country as if he's gone for 6 months or something. Nana left less than 2 weeks ago.
What about Sugar then?
Why is Sugar not here?
He is non-political, so...
That's why I said NDC and the affiliates.
Oh, so it's not affiliates. I get what you mean there. Okay, so okay, you give them your last word before we leave.
Well, as usual, it's nice coming here and doing this program, and viewers also contributing. But I take this opportunity to thank NPP as a political party. That we are really thinking through things before we make decisions, and making the right decision. It's not easy because of the way and manner NDC govern the country. We have found ourselves in a very difficult situation, but we are not giving up on Ghanaians, and we will try to go for second round, and third round, and fourth round, this third round. We are not going to lay the foundation.
Someone will say in your dreams and NDC.
Listen, we are not going to lay the foundation again and leave it thinking that they will continue building on it, because they've clearly shown to us that even with clear plan and proper foundation laid, they cannot build on it. They will just do whatever they want to do. So this time we will finish building the house and we give them one of the rooms to stay in.
Okay. I like that. Thank you very much. Yeah, so the time wouldn't permit us to go any further, so I will use this opportunity as a way of conclusion, just to summarize everything we discussed today. Then after, we will leave the studios. Today we discussed the scraper suspect tourists. Yeah, what I mean is that the scraper suspect tourist claim, which is the Russian spy who came here to attempt to kill Mr. Scraper in Salisbury. That's the first thing we discussed.
Why are you saying that they are Russian spies and they came here to do that? You are making definite
allegedly. Okay, I should ask allegedly. Pardon me for not adding allegedly. Allegedly by the UK government. And we also discussed the trade war between China and the USA. So we analyzed who is going to win in this trade war. So we discussed it. And we then move on to the Mr. Shamisa Nelson, who is the Zimbabwean opposition leader. His attempt to do a mock inauguration tomorrow. So we attempted, we discussed it and found out the implications. But Mr. Barnier said,
if secretaries are doing mock as said Wayaki said that no, I will not let you do the mock because the examination and the questions that you are asking the children, some of them may come in my final. Nah, let them do their mock. When they get their A's and B's, let them.
I'm just concluding what we discussed. So we then move on to Ghana, where we discuss the current tussle between the Auditor General versus his board chairman. So we try to see if he's politically motivated or not. So we did it and found out who had the right to do whatever he's doing. And then we finally landed on the strike and the banning of phones of the MPP Syriac callers in Ashanti region. So we analyzed it wholeheartedly and from different perspectives, where we found out that honestly I didn't know the exact position of Mr. Communicator here, because it was a bit we took it from different perspectives, as I said. So this is what we analyzed. Because Mr. Barnier said they have no right to do that. And on the other hand,
no,
he said
you can burn your phone. That's your phone. You want to burn your phone.
But he said on the other hand too, they are helping the MPP team. So at least they expect to be giving something. So it's been a bit confusing on that level. So
you are confused, but the listeners are not confused.
No, not from you, but I'm just saying from the whole scenario. It's a bit difficult to analyze. Not from what you said, but from what these guys are doing, because from different perspective, it's a bit that. So that's what I was just trying to say. So this is what we will end the program here. And I would say thank you all very much for sticking and staying with us. And I would like to thank Mr. Barney again too for his time, everything. Anytime he comes here,
the only man standing.
Because it's your party, so you come here to defend it.
No, we are not in a defensive position. We are doing the right thing, and most of the things that I come here to talk about are the good things that we are doing,
yeah.
and people wanting to see negatives, Yeah.
And because maybe you personally, you love Ghana. That's what I always say.
You said it.
I know.
Love Ghana.
Yeah, I won't say you love MPP, no. You love Ghana.
I love MPP, but I love Ghana more.
That's we impartial. Anyway, we end here. Thank you very much, and see you all next week. And don't forget, tomorrow we have lawyer Francis in the studio, who will come your way with legal hour. So if you have any immigration issue, don't miss the show at 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And we have Resurrection Hour 2, Hour of Resurrection by Sabina from 10 p.m. And Evangelist Manuel will come early in the morning at 6:30 a.m. So don't miss any of these programs because it's going to be exciting, fun, entertaining, and educative. So see you.
Hey, my baby, that's why. Hey. So, Papa, no, that's more than
Oh, Mr. Vanley. Say yes, I come out. Oh, no. Anna, I say, by 1 week, sir. Oh, maybe you know, won't you? A bishop fridge in the Savior. But Bankusu, oh, yes, oh,